May now request all the dignitaries to take their seat on the dais. Now, I request Shruti to present sapling to honorable guest. I now request Adya to present sapling to the director of CIMP. Now, I request Anshika to present sapling to the Chief Administrative Officer. May I now invite Professor Jyoti Verma to the lectern for the welcome address.
A very good evening to all of you. A beautiful weather outside, and as I have heard from my elders that whenever you are going to initiate something, to start something, and if it rains, it means God is happy, and definitely indeed God is also happy today. Hello everyone. On behalf of Chandragupta Institute of Management, Patna, and on my own behalf, I, Dr. Jyoti Verma, welcome you all to this leadership lecture series. I'm extremely delighted to welcome Dr. Satyajit Kumar Singh as guest speaker for the today's session. It gives me immense pleasure. Thank you. It gives me immense pleasure to not only welcome but introduce Dr. Satyajit Kumar Singh. Dr. Satyajit, Chief Consultant Urologist and Andrologist, Managing Director with Reuben Memorial Hospital, Patna. He is the real driving force behind Reuben Memorial Hospital, Patna. He is also conferred with the Leadership Award by India UAE Social and Business Forum and Asia One Media at a gala ceremony in May 2017 at Dubai. If I inform about his educational background, then he has MBBS in 1974 from Patna University, MS in 1976 from Patna University, FRCS in 1984 from Royal College of Surgery, Glasgow, and he has diploma in urology in 1986 from London University, UK. I hope that many of you are aware that today is an auspicious day also. Are you aware, students? Yes? What is today?
Flag Adoption Day.
So today is our National Flag Adoption Day, and what can be a better day to inform you all that in 1971 our eminent speaker and sir has served for victims of Indo-Pak War at the border areas of Bangladesh. This is really inspiring, sir, not only for the students, for the participants, but for us also. In addition to that, he was involved in many social activities. Actually, the list is long, but time is less. So without taking much of the time, further, I welcome you, sir. Now, furthermore, I would also like to welcome our director, Professor Dr. Rana Singh of Chandragupta Institute of Management, Patna. What I introduce about him, he is a veteran, a true leader, a motivational speaker, a researcher, a trainer, a teacher, an innovator, many times a juggler also, which I definitely take as a very positive comment, because when you are top influential and leadership position, you have to manage many things together. So when you are dealing with n number of things, then you have to manage effectively. I don't have more words with sir because again the list is long. So I welcome you, sir, also on behalf of Chandragupta Institute of Management, Patna. I also welcome Shri Kumar Kumarji, our Chief Administrative Officer, Chandragupta Institute of Management, Patna. He is not only an administrator but also an academician. And many times, on many opportunities, we get to learn from him. So I welcome you, Shri Kumar Kumarji. I further extend my warm and hearty welcome to all the faculty members and my dear colleagues for taking time out of your busy schedule and making your availability into this August gathering. I also extend my heartfelt welcome to all the participants and students of PGDM batch 21-23 and 2022-24. It would not be wrong if I say that your presence is important when such events are happening. The existence of such events exists or happens just because of you. So I welcome you all. Last but not the least, I would like to welcome all the support staff, the non-teaching staff of Chandragupta Institute of Management, Patna, for making all the resources available as well as organizing this event on an effective way so that we can hear such an eminent speaker without any fail. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Over to you, sir.
Good evening to all. Yes, sir. I'm audible? Yes. Right. Good evening to all. I'm very grateful to Professor Rana, Dr. Kumud, and faculty and head of Chandragupta Institute of Management to give me this opportunity. It's a very strange place for me. I'm a doctor. I've never gone through a single day class of management. But somehow I've managed to establish an institution which I never thought. I feel that, it's why I'm very active, as you mentioned, in the hospital, the health sector. But me come back to Patna, my home, after 18 years was not the medicine, not urology in a hospital. Because that I was enjoying already in a very affluent place, and I had my government job, I had my private practice. But it is the society. It is the passion to be close to my own people. I'm not nationalist. I don't practice any religion, I must say that. But I got very strong sense of belonging, that I belong to the place which is a developing place. And I tell you, many of you will become manager, entrepreneur, and the best place on the earth for an entrepreneur is the place which is not yet developed. So it's a part of emotion, part of my enterprising desire. So thank you very much. I'm active on many social platforms. One of them is Peace Movement, Anti-Nuclear War. I'm Vice President of Indian Doctor of Peace and Development, which is affiliate of International Nobel Peace Prize awardee organization called International Physician for Prevention of Nuclear War. So I did health study of Jardaguda mine workers and adjoining villages, and I was presenting paper in Helsinki in an international conference, and I was asked by the chair to Dr. Singh, you introduce yourself. The way I introduced was, I'm social activist, I'm entrepreneurial, as well as doctor. Medicine had never been part of the totality of my life, but a part of the life. Medicine has been a vehicle for me to reach to the people, to show my ability, show my commitment, and that basis, on that credibility, I do a lot of social activity, which helps me in the community. So that's what I am. When it comes to management, there are two words called business and service. When you become money oriented, it becomes business. When you are service provider oriented towards the benefactor, it is service, and the fallout of it is the money. So our doctors who are managing hospitals are, a combination of service which brings business. I've just noted few lines, which you excuse me to read it. Management is a social and technical process which utilizes resources, influence, human action, and facilitate the changes in order to accomplish organized social goal. So that's a very broad thing. And I remember my son who in the IIT Delhi convocation, Rajat Sharma, who is a guru of management, very nicely said, which I feel very worked with me, that at my age, my success is not seen what I do, or as a doctor, not how I operate. My success is through the many other doctors, the platform which I have created. Their performance, their success reflects my success. It's my glory. So a stage comes that from your small professional work, you gradually learn how to manage, and that's the management. You have to make others to work, and your glory comes from other success. So that's the management in a very nutshell. There are many concepts of aspects of management. First is the concept, a vision, what you want to do. Then you plan how to do it. Then you gather human resources, technical resources. Then you sit down and with the help of the human resources and technical building and your planning, you decide decision, what you do. Then integration and coordination of different sector of the organization. And the last is the leadership. In fact, management is an art of getting things done through others with a formal organized group. That's the management which I feel. Now, world is changing, environment is changing, culturally we are changing, so we can't fix and one pattern. So, like there are traditional views and there are modern views in management. First is art of getting things done by others. That's the traditional view. But the modern is you are the prime mover of organization, making it functional and productive. Like I never accept, and I always cross, I'm not owner, I'm not Malik, I'm a promoter. Because money is not my own, it's the bank money. I'm not only performer, it's the other doctors. The income doesn't come with just my work, it comes with the work of every other people. To the extent that the highly skilled surgeon and physician in my hospital have a credit and get my respect as a performer, but my hospital is known as a very clean place, very neat and clean, aesthetically clean place. Who does that? It's the sweepers. It is the housekeeping. So they are also equally important, my hospital reputation, my infection rate and everything. For me as a promoter, as a head of the institution, they are both getting same respect, and same according to their ability, their work, the reward. So it's very important that you have a broad sense among your organization and give everyone the same sort of respect. I think there are many ways. Other is the process of planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling activities of the others. This word controlling is a very traditional thing which managers think I control everyone. But the modern way is process of creating conducive, a proper internal environment for a productive organization. So you are a creator, you are a leader, you are not controlling. Controlling is a very old traditional way of thinking. And RASP is mobilizing and utilizing the physical and human resources for achieving organized goal. That's a traditional way. The modern way is process of coping with the changing external environment by relating the strength and weaknesses of organization within it. So you adopt the changes which is going around you, and you take a strength and correct the weaknesses of your organization, your people, and that's how you grow. That's a modern way of doing it. In fact, I think from me, a manager word should be replaced by leadership. You have to be leader. And there are other people who are different sectors, they are managing it, but the head of the institution is a leader. I always say that I'm first among equals. Why equals? Because everyone is contributing in the growth of the hospital, the result of the treatment and welfare and everything. And why am I first? Because I take all the responsibility. I manage finances, I provide technology, I provide educational thing, to the extent that if the violence in the front of my gate, I'm not the person who will be sitting and monitoring on the CCTV. I'll be with my boys among the crowd and face it. That's what I have learned, to lead from the front. I will just, my small story, that after 17 years, because of my family background, my father and my parents were very active socially, politically also, but not the politics of today's, of alliances and elections and things, politics of social welfare, an educational affair. And what I saw from the childhood, the respect which my parents got from my village people, the city people, everyone knew. So I had that inking in myself that if I get part of that respect, that will be best for me in my life. And that's the reason I'm back here. I came from very humble financial background, but huge respect, huge feeling for their own people. My father used to tell me when I was a medical student, same is my elder brother, Colonel A.K. Singh, who is a well-known management person in the health, that when my villagers come in Patna or in medical college, you study, become a doctor for yourself and for me, for the family. But my personal feeling is that your duty also is that my villagers come, they get the right treatment from the right doctor, they get the right medicine. That's the duty which I given to you. So we will awaken about the social responsibility from the very beginning. Gave me a book called Citadel. It's a story of a young physician who just came from London, medical school, and started working in a Welsh coal mine village. And a story where how he struggled with the system and how he did it. And these are the things which I was inspired. I was given a story of Dr. Who was in the Chinese Long War, And there's lots of story, that's how you inculcate these values in your young people. That's how I have grown up. So I started with 2 beds and first lithotripsy center. This is the method of treating kidney stone without surgery. It was first in Bihar and Jharkhand, second in Eastern India after Okhad. My father was trembling because I took a loan. But lot of problem, lot of sort of created environment against the technology that it doesn't work and all that. I had a difficult time to convince people, but gradually with my patience, my counseling and the result, people got convinced there is a best thing to get done, and gradually, a flood of patients started coming here. Then I moved to a rented place near Gandhi Maidan, where from 22 beds I made a 45 beds. With the well wishes, my patrons and patients, I felt it's getting very congested. So I moved to Patliputra. When I was in Gandhi Maidan, I was just doing kidney stone treatment and other urology treatment or operation, nephrology and laparoscopic surgery. So gradually I have just built up one after one with the small step, baby steps. So I added these 3 specialty in Gandhi Maidan. Then we moved to Patliputra, where we added about 60 beds of intensive care, 12 beds of high dependency ward, emergency ward, all diagnostic. So it grew on all other specialty. Today, after in 2019, I felt that we are doing laser, we're doing laparoscopy, we're doing lithotripsy, all very high tech. But the real satisfaction and the real socially oriented medicine is child and maternity. With the so poor facilities and so many maternal deaths, so many infant deaths, it was inside me that I must do it, but I was not able because physically it was not possible in the Patliputra hospital. So we did it in Gandhi Maidan, a 50-bedded hospital. Even that and my old 200-bedded hospital getting congested. So we started another 200-bedded hospital next to my main building. So that is gradually, step by step, no other businessman, no other financial help, but through the bank I kept in doing it. And I was so grateful, and the reward I got of my way of doing things, that my doctors worked for me when I moved in 2013-14, started building the new setup. They worked for me for 6 months, 7 months, not taking money from the hospital, because they had another source of income because they were practicing somewhere else. And lakhs of rupees they handed over to me. On top of that, whenever I needed, they gave me a check. That was the amount of confidence I built up in my colleague. And at one time, I was having a sleepless night because of the liability I had incurred. But I never compromised on the quality. Whether it's a furniture, whether it's a machine, it's a technology, everything, I had a passion, and I always had this that hum kisi se kam nahi. If it is done in Delhi and Bombay, why not in Patna? Because I am Pakka Bihari, and I feel that the patients from here must not travel to big cities for the best treatment. And that came in mind because when I was in Institute of Urology in West End of London, it was a tertiary institute. So patients were coming from Ireland, coming from Wales, coming from Scotland, coming from different part of England, from Ireland. And I've seen the stress, level of stress in a patient. Those who are from within the 25 miles, 40 miles, where patient's relative can come by train, meet them, and those who are coming far away, where hardly any relatives come. So there was an amount of stress very visible. So it's not just the money which is 3 times from what we charge, whatever here in Patna, in the big cities. It is the stress, it's the disruption to the family. That was in my mind that we must give that sort of treatment, but people don't need to go out. But choices is there, where we want to go. So I started from there and gradually built up. Today, Ruben Group is 430-bedded hospital, and every specialty except radiotherapy. And radiotherapy can't do it because in situation is a very thickly innovated population where radiotherapy may be a difficult hazard, so I never ventured it. But we had a plan to do it. So someone comes and asks me that how you built this hospital. And I always feel that this is, when I say I don't know, and people think that I'm being arrogant or being indifferent to him, but the fact is that I don't know. I'm not a manager. I did it with my instinct. I did it because my people need it. I did it because I was capable. I did it because I want the credibility of the financial institutions who are ready to pay me, to give me loan. There was a time when I was not getting loan. There was a time when I was not getting even credit card. And gradually built up, where today we are planning for medical college, nursing college, another 500-bedded hospital. We have purchased land 5-6 kilometers from AIMS, and today banks are ready. So management is something which you have a vision, have a concept, plan, get the right people for the right place, manage your people, think together, and implement it. Then there are many aspects which we have to see, that what are the aspects which have to do it. Everything, like, we've got an aim to do. You have a mission. So, like our organization, the aim was, as I told you, no one has to go out of the Bihar to get a good treatment. Second aim was to create a platform where the young doctors from Bihar were getting trained in the premium institutions of India or internationally, and they want to come back to Patna, their own native place. And if they don't get a platform, whatever they have learned, whatever they are inspired to do it, will wither away if you are not getting platform. And everyone can't manage crores of rupees, because these days one equipment can cost crore to several crore of rupees. So it's a platform which is created for young doctors. I never ever invited, neither offers to join us by those who are already practicing in Patna. We have hundreds of patients in the clinic. If I wanted to fill up my beds and earn from that, I could have opened my door for them. But I always picked up the young doctors who had been trained, had done MS, MD, DM, MCH, residency in a recognized good institutions. I invited them and I gave them this moral protection that you are trained, you go ahead and do it. I'm there. And many places I'm standing and they are doing the operation. Initially, everyone gets a bit nervous in doing operations independently. I was there as a motivator, that you have been trained, you can do it, you do it. And there's been tremendous good job by all these young doctors. I'm very proud of them. Then there was a time when we were not getting good technicians, and there is no teaching, training place in Bihar in those days, where you get the trained technicians, trained OTA staffs. I went to my village, talked to my uncle. He tell me, introduced me a few young boys from the village who has graduated or even passed higher school and intelligent. I picked up dozen of them. I got them with me. The lithotipsy, which is you locate the stone on the screen on the image intensifier, and also you can locate an ultrasound, and there is a cross, and if the stone image comes on that cross and you fire it, the software will go and disintegrate the stone. That I had done in England, I have done in Institute of Urology. I trained the person who had no concept of it. And gradually, I can tell you for last 10 years, he is doing better than me. The stones which I can't see, he can see it and did it. So that's why I have done it. I have seen for theatre, I selected some of them. I trained them in the theatre. I took them to Delhi. And fortunately, at that time, Buddha motor racing circuit had just opened. And the Formula 1 was going to be done. So there was few days of trial runs. For that, there was some complimentary tickets in Greater Noida residents, and we had collected some of them. And I drove them with me on my SUV, got them to Buddha circuit. They were excited. Then put them in the hospital in Delhi with my friend, who was a urologist. And for 10 days, 15 days, got training. Came back. Today, those people who had no formal training are doing laparoscopic surgery, assisting in laparoscopic surgery, doing laser, maintaining laser machines, the arthroplasty. And when I go to, now these days I have started going to management, hospital management meetings and all that. And I'm told that, there are rules that to do this job, one have to have this certificate, this amount of training, and then only they should be employed. So I raised my finger, I said, I'm sorry, you are fortunate that you have got plenty of technicians trained in institutions in the big cities and all that. But what about me? In 1996, 2000, I wanted to do what I want. The people needed what I was doing, but I had no technicians, no one ready to come here. I couldn't afford paying them what they were getting in big cities. So I had to train myself. And gradually on the Open University, got them certified as well. Coached them, trained them, and today they are doing the wonderful job. My friends come to operate on certain technology which we are not doing, now we are doing everything. He used to tell me, sir, आप बोलते हैं कि ये आपके गांव के हैं, ये no formal training. इनके साथ हम 10 घंटा ऑपरेट कर रहे हैं with so much pleasant face and hard work. They're doing so much. I go all around the India, but I never find anyone so happy because they are my product. I have produced them, so they are emotionally attached. My relation with my workers, my doctors, is not based just on the paper. The contract on the paper is just a formality. My relationship is that I'm guardian of all of them. At the time of induction, say that you all left your villages, your cities, and has decided to work here. As a head institution, I'm your guardian. So any problem, anything bother you, which is not even related profession, you can come and seek my help and I'll try to help you. I go to different schools in Patna. The boys who had joined me in 19 years, 20 years, 22 years, then they got married while working in my hospital. Now they've got children who are going to school age. I go to different schools in Patna. I talk to them. I get the children admitted there. I look after their welfare. I meet on several occasions on something, and I'm called Dadaji with the children of my employees. And one thing I learned from Abhyanand when we were DGP, and I donated X-ray and ultrasound, all that in the BMP hospital. He started, resurrected it. And I was going around the campus BMP. One thing is said that, Dr. Saab, if your relation is on the money, on the salary, and you're giving 19, and someone is giving 21, naturally you will feel that I'm getting more for my family there. But one thing is that if you give them security, if anything happens to me, my children, my wife, sir is there, that security will override all the offer of money which they will get other places. And that's the way I do it with that's how I do with my children. Today, there's 160 doctors, 86 of them specialists, super specialists, and 1,700 employees. My way is doing it that I don't maintain a chamber. In front of that, there is a granite, black granite with the golden and silver name written on that. I don't have my hospital. As I just have a rest room where I come for dinner. I got a room where I talk to someone from outside coming. My cubicle where I see my patient is shared by other urologist. And if I have to talk to someone, I have to sign someone's paper, I go to that table, I pull a chair from the side of that, and I sit down in front of the person who is manning that chair. I never occupy that chair. I talk to them, sign it, and then hop up to other chair. That's why, because that makes me equality. That's keep them, that boss is a very wrong thing. Owner is the boss. I'm the leader. And I have to make everyone very comfortable with me. Anyone can get hold of me. Any patient can get hold of me in the corridor, can narrate their problem. There and then, I ring the concerned doctor. In his presence, I talk and say, "Tum baat kar liye, aap jaake baat kar liye, aapko bula ke baat kar lenge." That's my way of doing things. Challenges are there in the hospital. The biggest challenge is the demand. And for me, the good treatment is only one type. There is no different treatment for rich and for the poor. There's the same one type of treatment. Whether it's a medicine, whether it's a suture, whether it's equipment, it's a method of operation, method of treatment. It's just for them. With that philosophy and the place which I'm working with so much of limitations, paying capacity, every day I struggle. Every day.
I'll stop you here, sir. I'll just share yesterday's story which was shared to these students. Rusi Modi, he came across some employees and there were two types of toilets in the Tata group, one for the top management and one for the others. And the people complained to them that, look, the toilets of the, lower class people, the laborers and others were always found, to be dirty. And he said, very simple, the problem is simple. Yesterday it was shared and I have heard it many times. He says, the problem is simple, just change the boards. Udhar ka board idhar laga do. So the same equality it was shared, and I hope my all colleagues will understand that the story remains the same. The leadership is always to look at everyone equally. So thanks, I just wanted to intervene yesterday. You are reiterating the same.
Look, I give you an example of leader. During 1960 war, our naval ship, Kukri, was torpedoed by Pakistani submarine in the Bay of Arabian Sea. There was Ranjit Singh, who was the commanding officer, a young commanding officer. He started getting his sailors evacuated, and he was supervising the whole evacuation from the ship. And he stood on the bridge. The bridge is where a commander commands the ship. The ship started sinking fast, and the evacuation process was going on. The ship bridge came under the water. It was still standing because still some sailors were inside. It sunk with the ship. That's leadership. I think what it makes that your attrition is very low, because you give this security, this emotion, which they value more than the money, the offer they get. And recently I had to face it very badly, because there was a time in '96 when people were leaving Patna, businessmen, doctors and all that, for many social various reasons. But the Biharis and the administration had made it pasture greener. And once the pasture is greener, there are many guests coming to graze into it. And with a big fat bag offering this amount, wow, how do you get it, this, it. So that was a bit of threatening crisis. But I was very fortunate that very little attrition happened in my hospital. One of the reasons is the way I look after my children. I never say my doctors, because almost all the doctors except one or two are much younger than my eldest son, who is a spinal surgeon in England. So I naturally see them as my children, my boy. So that's the way of management. And there are many things which I have heard about it. There's one, Steve Cole of Apples. His philosophy is nothing moves without my permission. But at the same time, I got an example of Richard Branson, which I didn't mimic it, but I was very happy that is the way I am doing it, that I don't maintain a big sprawling chamber. I move from one desk to other, and I have a restroom. And once he opens a new organization, he tries to find the best person he feels for that organization, watch for 6 months. Once get going better, he leaves it on them, and from distance he watch it. So you get freedom. Then I got certain, like in the hospital when I'm doing it, you have to have some priorities. And the Ruben priorities as me head of the institution is patient-centric. The first thing in the hospital is for the patients and because of the patient. So patient-centric. Second priority is worker-centric. My doctors, my technicians, my nurses, I'm very particular that whatever you have to filth, you have to give it to me, I will take it. But dare not to talk to my nurses. They are my daughter and my daughter-in-law. Their respect is paramount for me, and I have to make it secure. Then the last comes growth of the hospital. I run the hospital from the bank loan. I have to pay interest. I have to pay tax. So there has to be financial growth for the growth of the hospital. So that, and I have done it, as I have told you, from 2 beds to 450, where one specialty to multi-specialty, you need money. So you have to earn money, keeping your ethics, keeping in mind that no one is asked to leave the bed because he hasn't got money. And with the treatment, if I prolong a little bit, he can survive, she can survive. And this dilemma had come many times. I can just give you 1 or 2 examples. That a young girl gave a birth, postpartum infection, septicemia, which got 80% mortality, but the baby is still alive. After a week, 8 days, the husband, the father-in-law said, "We can't afford, sir. We have to take her to government hospital." I knew that with this her seriousness, she will not survive. I said, "तुम चिंता नहीं करो, तुम दवा खरीदो, बाकी हम बाद में बात करेंगे." We treated for 3 weeks. She survived. Last 1 week, I started giving the baby in the lab in the ICU itself. Husband was a small clerk in one of the small company in Patna city. I gave him whatever I had to give him the concession, but I still had big money to give. He gave me back money in 3 years gradually. That's the satisfaction of being doctor. When my doctors and nurses join, we do introductory class. My sentence is, one thing which has gone inside me, I want you all have. We are a doctor, we are different. मैं doctor हूँ, मैं दूसरे से अलग हूँ. Why I am different? Because when I went from Patna to England, Scotland, I have been educated in a Hindi medium in a Rohanipur, which if the Patna people will know that it's a lower middle class place, a Hindi medium. I was not understanding a lot of things on the telephone from the English people. When I went to Saudi Arabia, I have to talk to my patients through the interpreter. But still, when you talk about their pain, their problems and all that, the tears roll from their eyes. That's the privilege of a doctor. And a doctor, even a manager, you will be involved in many situations where you have to look after your poor employees, poor people for which your organization is doing something. That satisfaction has to be there. Money is essential. Somewhere is written that for everything you need money, but the money is not everything. So that has to be, as a manager, it's very important that you have passion. Look after your interest, your family interest, but at the same time, you have passion for the benefactor who is benefiting from your services, your management. Again, as I told you, our two people, there's a Toyota model which I've imbibed. And again, this is all afterthought. After I've started working, I read it. It's not that I read it and I did it. I find sometimes that person who have been deputed a certain place is not performing well. But behavior-wise is okay. I never retrenched him, I never terminated them. I try to shift his responsibility, shift to the place where he may be better than what he's doing. Because in these days of unemployment, with the family at home, terminating them may bring catastrophe in their life. So that's the Toyota way, a Japanese way, that there is very little issue of termination in Japanese and the Toyota theory which I've read. So these are the things which I feel that one thing is very important in management is the personal touch. Your first duty as a manager, as a senior, is to make people across the table, the person who is working with you, comfortable. There are two types of reactions when you enter in the room. That feeling has to be there, that you feel comfortable with you, and then they will come up. Then they will, talk whatever problem they have, even in the job. And when you talk about the management and the art of managing things, I think what MBA does is streamline your thinking. Whatever you want to do, whatever you think, whatever thoughts, you give a system, a channel, how to do it. Otherwise, the Dabba Wala of Bombay wouldn't have been one of the best manager in the world with the minus 0.0009% fault in their business. I quote few, Henry Ford, who is the Ford automobile industry, Ford Foundation. He was a great leader. Napoleon Bonaparte once says, a leader is dealer in hope. A leader is dealer in hope. You always look the brighter side, positive side of your future, your organization, and the people behind you. Jack Welch is another big management guru of General Motors. Good business leaders create a vision, activate the vision, passionate on the own vision, and relentlessly drive into completion of the vision. So a vision is the most important thing for any leader. Henry Ford says, build a strong team. Don't hire a copycat like yourself. You don't feel you are the best, so someone who is going to replace you must be like you. Like in my clinic, today there are 4, apart from me there are 3 other urologists. Patient comes and I examine, get the investigations, counsel them what you need done, what is the operation matters to you, how will you get operated, and then they say, he will operate you. One of the 3 urologists. Invariably I told, sir, हम तो आपके नाम से आए थे, आपके लिए आए थे. What I say, क्या मैं बेवकूफ में उनको 4 लाख रुपया रोज देता हूँ? मैं इसलिए देता हूँ, वो हमसे ज़्यादा अच्छा दिमाग रखते हैं, ज़्यादा लेटेस्ट नॉलेज है, उनका फिंगर हमसे ज़्यादा अच्छा है. मेरा thigh and arm is strong that I take this burden. So that's how I've introduced. And gradually I had a problem in the beginning, a lot of time I have to operate. Now I even have to stand when operation is going on, but I made them acceptance. In the beginning, I used to do wrong with them in the ward. So naturally, when I am there, they get sad out. Patient asks me, talk to me, not him. So then I started giving round after their round. And then if I pick up something which things should have been not like this, I call the doctor in the clinic and said, "Na, ऐसे होना चाहिए. इसको करके देखो, इसे करो." So that's what suggestion I did. In the beginning, there was Satyajit, stroke, other doctor. Then it became him, a stroke, Dr. Satyajit. Now there is no Satyajit, it's all him. Because if I want to create an institution, I can't afford to be the front all the time. The institution will not grow. I have to take a back step. I give them moral support. I provide them all the facilities, all the protection. They have to perform. They are the future. I'm not the future of my institution. So that's my vision, how I gradually, and it's a bit accepted. So other thing is, let others shine. The great leaders know when to stay aside. I'm very happy, I read it today, but I made it before. I stepped behind. Now David. Now I feel very happy when patient comes, I'm sitting there, I feel in my success that I made someone very successful. Stand up for your people. The great managers fight for their own people. You must fight for the people who are working with you, under you. That's very important to win their confidence, and they will give you everything to you. Whatever you want to do, how many hours you want him to work, he will work for you because you are for him. You are fighting for his welfare. And keep leaderly mindset. Leaders don't set out to climb. Let others climb, you give them a helping hand to climb. That's the leadership. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Professor Dr. Rana Singh, Director CIMP, to present memento to honorable guest. Now may I request Professor Dr. Rana Singh, Director CIMP, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Honorable Chief Guest for the day, Dr. Satyajit Singh ji, Managing Director of Rubon Group of Hospitals, my esteemed colleague Kumar ji, my esteemed faculty colleagues picked from some of the best institutions of the country, my dear students who have been shortlisted out of thousands of others who could not make it to CIMP. A very warm good evening to one and all. It's indeed a pleasure, privilege, honor and delight to extend my heartfelt thanks to a living legend, a doctor, a practitioner and a management guru himself who is not ready to accept he is a management guru in the domain of healthcare management. It was a great learning experience from him about the various traits about what a leadership style should be and what a leader should do for his colleagues, for his employees. A short while ago, I was dealing with my faculty colleagues, and I mean dealing with because he said we have to be a dealer of hopes, and I gave them a hope of incentivizing the research publications and to make the compensation more competitive to retain the existing faculty members and to attract some of the best talent from rest of the country. So I was just dealing in hope, sir, and I have made a formal commitment in a meeting and will soon formalize it that we would like to incentivize research at par with some of the best institutions of the country, at par with top 10, top 20 of the country. So it is a congratulations to all my faculty colleagues who have been doing a great work in the domain of research. And somehow this came from the inner core of my heart. We were talking about national NIRF ranking framework, and we thought, let me incentivize research because that will make the inner core of their heart, rather than compelling them to do research. There should be a lot of financial incentives attached. So this was one. And I have lived some of the values which I would love to share and quote publicly for all my students. Even I used to walk to some of the departments when I was Vice Chancellor of a university, and I had around 20 colleges, including an Ayurvedic college and School of Nursing. And when I used to walk down to the department, maybe sometimes if I traveled to the office of the registrar, they thought, wow, ye itna bada disaster ho gaya, I have broken the protocol of the Vice Chancellor. So I said, look, I don't break the protocols. The moment I leave my chair, I am Rana Singh. When I sit on the chair, I am Rana Singh, Vice Chancellor. So I am not breaking the protocol. So I rather convince them. More so when I used to somehow come to the reception to see off some of my guests. So, sir, you are the Vice Chancellor of the university. I said, yes, I know that. How many times would you like to tell it to me? He says, fine. So they said, again, you are breaking the protocol. So somehow, sir, there has been a lot of, thought congruency. The second one which I liked was the Japanese style of management, which they have the lifestyle, lifelong management, lifelong employment. So even in my leadership style, till now I have not fired a single employee under my leadership. And I have quoted it publicly many a times to some of my colleagues, if not many, that I don't believe in firing. Rather, mentoring, counseling, nurturing, and transforming the mindset. Even if somebody wants to go, I have taken time to make sure, help him realize you are going to take a wrong decision. You may realize this after a year or so, and then you'll have no way to repent the decision which you have taken. So there are a lot of thought congruencies. And sir, it was a great blessing for me to work under the leadership of Mr. Thumbe, who was a young man like you, and who has created an empire worth more than $1 billion in UAE, who runs Gulf Medical University, and I was managing the entire state of affairs, including quality assurance. And I'll just share a small story so that it will be a learning experience for all my brilliant students. When I had joined, I was the only odd guy coming from the management domain to manage the affairs of a healthcare university. The entire set of faculty members were worried, how come somebody who's not a doctor is going to manage the entire affairs? I said, you give me a month. And we had 5 colleges, School of Medicine, Dentistry, Pharmacy, Allied Health, and Graduate Studies.
and I was looking after the entire quality assurance, and I was sending them reports of their non-compliance, whatever they were teaching, what went wrong in terms of teaching, what went wrong in terms of compliance to the regulatory bodies, what went wrong in compliance to JCI guidelines, like you were talking about patient safety. We had international patient safety guidelines given by JCI. So it's to give them a long list of their non-compliances, and then they realize it's not about being a domain practitioner or domain expert, it's about commitment with which you are willing to learn. So your commitment to learn is more important, and I've seen you that as a doctor, everything what he has done is much better than a CEO, one of the most successful hospitals. So creation of an empire, a chain of hospitals, brilliantly leading some of the top-notch brains of the economy, having the vision to make a world-class hospital, having the empathy and sympathy of a great leader, and having the values of all the great leaders of the world. I once again, sir, thank you as a living legend, not just as a doctor, but a great man at heart. I think we need a bigger round of applause and a standing ovation to him. May I please request all of you to stand up and give a big round of applause to him. So we thank you for being with us on campus. We look forward, and we also look forward to have an MOU with your group of hospitals, so that my entire set of faculty colleagues, their families, they get the best of the care, love, affection, warmth, apart from the brilliant services which you have quoted. Thank you once again, and thanks all of you. Good night.
I now request everyone to please arise for the national anthem.
अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you. Have a great day. Jai Hind.